Kia ora everyone, it's Johny O'Donnell here, and welcome to this video, the 5 productivity apps that I couldn't live without. I'd like to start by just saying that I'm a massive procrastinator and absolutely need good apps and tools in my life to help me organize and give some structure to my work. And so please know that in delivering this video, I'm not coming from a pedestal of saying that I'm a really super productive person or that this is the right tools for you, but I just thought I'd share that if someone who is constantly trying to optimize their productivity and maximize the benefit to their business and to their lives through tools and software, these are the 5 that over the past few years, after testing dozens of tools, that I've found the most useful to help enhance productivity and get better results from my business. So I'm going to jump right in and share my screen with you here. So the first tool is Asana. So for those of you who are using any kind of project management tool, Asana is, after testing a number of them, the one that we landed on as the most comprehensive. The reason why I like using Asana is because it has really good integrations. So just as an example, we integrate Asana with useful for maintaining inbox zero. The other thing we can do is actually we use a Chrome extension for Asana. That means that while we're in Gmail, we can also create tasks with information that we've got from the email, and it attaches the content of the email to that task. So if I've got something in my inbox that's for me, I simply forward it to Asana and it lives within my tasks. But if I've got something for one of my team or someone I'm working with, then I can quite easily create a task, use the information from within that email, get it out of my inbox, out of my Asana, and to the appropriate person so that I can get to that inbox zero. So Asana, as the app is called asana.com, and what we do is we basically do it on a client basis. So our projects, the hierarchy here is that our projects are our clients, and then all the projects that we manage under those clients, we do so simply by just creating subtasks under the projects. It gives you the ability within Asana as well to have team conversations. So it's really good to have a record and an archive of conversations that are taking place during projects to see how decisions were landed on. And you can also, having that recording is also really useful in terms of making sure that if, for someone like me who might not be directly involved in the delivery of the task, but may need oversight on the conversations or how we landed on something, I've always got that record there as well. So it's far more effective than using your email inbox as a project management tool. And I can say that if you use Asana properly, which is part of the challenge and part of the discipline required, then it will save you a lot of time in your day. It's reasonably cheap and affordable to get started as well. We try and onboard anyone who comes and works with us onto the system. And as you can see here, you just drop into any of these projects and we have a bunch of subtitles here that we host our tasks under. Now, there's a number of things that we can do in here. For example, the one we're looking at is that for all of our clients, we deliver analytics reports. This is a reoccurring task that Libby does every month. And so we set that up just to reoccur so that for those things that we need to keep ticking over, just reappears every month and we don't have to think about it again. So there's a lot of work up front to do in getting this set up and structured in a way that's effective for you. But essentially, this is our knowledge base for everything that's happening in terms of project and task management. So I would say at the core of the productivity apps that we use, Asana is the most important. And then the second one, and the second app that I want to share with you today, is Toggl. Toggl is a time tracking and management system that links in with Asana. So it's a completely standalone app, and you'll need to go to toggl.com to access the app. But essentially, we've got our team on here, whether we're working in-house as our internal team or whether we bring on freelancers. We prefer that they use Toggl. And the reason we like Toggl is because it does have a really nice Chrome extension as well. So regardless of what you're doing, anytime you're browsing or using softwares or anything, you can simply click on this toggle timer and type whatever you're working on. In this case, I'm going to put productivity video, hit the timer, and it starts recording immediately. Now, as soon as you stop that timer, then you can actually go into that task here and see, and you can make it billable, you can tag it to specific clients or projects, and then what we can do is jump and dive into things like reports over here. And so any one time right across the team, we might be recording time against different projects for our clients. And then what happens is at the end of the month, for the billing cycle, it makes it really easy to go in, look at the tasks that were assigned via Asana so that we know they were approved tasks, and there was a mixture of internal and external there. And then we look at Toggle and see what time our entire team has dedicated to those tasks, check that what's billable versus non-billable, and then we can actually export that and get it in as an invoice in Xero. So the key thing with any of these apps, if the productivity apps are going to work in your favor, is to make sure that you're not making these decisions about which tools to use in isolation. So the reason I've picked our top 5 tools is because all the tools that I'm talking about today are things that integrate with each other so that the information passes through. So Asana is where we begin for our project management, and Asana links in with our Gmail, which is our preferred email client, and then of course we do our tracking through Toggle. But because we've got the integration set up, it means that every time we add a task to Asana with a deadline and a client and a team member assigned to it, that actually automatically populates in Toggle as well, so that it's sitting there ready to go, ready for us to track time against. So it just keeps things really clean. And if there's one thing I've learned about these two apps, is that they have incredible depth and functionality, but they're only as good as the input. So actually using them every day and defaulting to them at the beginning of the day is definitely the key to making them work for your business. But like I said, we've tested loads with ourselves and with our clients, and we really think that Asana and Toggle for time tracking and project management are the go-to. The next thing that I find in terms of productivity is that we've just got so many channels now, from Messenger to Voxer to LinkedIn, Gmail, all of those things. At any one time, you're trying to manage multiple channels for communications across your team. And the one that I've landed on as the easiest and most effective to keep communications in one place is actually WhatsApp. And the reason we use WhatsApp is because I like the fact that it has both a mobile and a desktop application. So I use it on my phone all the time. We send images, videos, voice recordings, and obviously just messages as well. And we can do that to individuals, and we can also set up groups. So when we're working on a project, say we're working on a website development project, we'll form a group around that, which will involve the copywriter, the photographer, the designer, the developer, and we're all sitting in one thread where we've got a great archive and history of the conversation. So we use WhatsApp just because partly there are some other options that are slightly better for project management. Some of you might be familiar with the likes of Slack. We've never made Slack work entirely in our business just because we find that more people are more likely to be on WhatsApp, and therefore it's kind of easier getting people on board. So I actually deal with a lot of clients through WhatsApp, because if we just want to ask a quick question, or they want to get hold of me and see if when we can have a phone call or a quick catch up, then I find that actually using WhatsApp is more effective than writing an email every time. So we use it internally and we use it for clients. And the biggest gain that I've got from using WhatsApp is actually using the desktop application. So if I'm sitting at work, rather than sitting on my phone all day, I've just got it up on my desktop. It means I can send longer messages faster. And it means that if I'm actually doing work on my laptop, I don't have to have my phone active and be using that as well. So I'm more focused. So for communications, I can see why people use Slack. I can see why people use Voxer. But for us, just in terms of the uptake and usability, we've found WhatsApp has worked best for us. So across those productivity apps now, we have project and task management, we have time management that integrates with our project management system, and we have communications for messaging between team members. And the key thing there is, and the biggest gain, is actually getting away from Facebook Messenger and the likes of, and getting into something a lot cleaner, a lot better for business. Then the next most important need for my productivity is actually to have somewhere to just capture notes. And those notes can be things like to-do lists, they can be meeting notes, they can even be like screenshots of different websites that I'm looking at and information I want to capture. And for that, I just couldn't live without Evernote. I've used Evernote for several years now. I have it on my phone and I have it on my laptop as well, downloaded as an actual app, but I can also use the web app if I'm ever on any other device. We use Evernote as a team, which means I can share notes between our teams. And what I really like about Evernote is the ability to actually tag the content as you're writing it. So, for example, if I go to a conference and I do my note taking for a conference within Evernote, then what I'm able to do is tag the name of that conference, say tag the time of year, and potentially what topics we're talking about, which means in 3 years' time or even in a year's time, if I'm thinking, what was that talk that happened at that particular conference, rather than trying to find my written notes like I used to in my notebooks, I can literally just type the name of the conference and the topic into Evernote search bar and find the appropriate note. So I find like I literally have hundreds of notes in there now, and they are a combination of screenshots and to-do lists and all those kind of things, but I just find I default really easily to Evernote. It means you don't have to be opening documents, and you've got visibility over your notes all the time. So this is a big one for me. With the capture of all that information, all of those notes, it's eliminating paper. So in meetings, I'll just use Evernote now rather than writing lots of things down on paper and losing the paper, or not having the notebook with me another time. I've always got Evernote with me. I can always take notes on it, whether it's on my phone or on my laptop, and I can come back to it anytime, and I can share it with my team. So definitely recommend Evernote. It's free to get started with Evernote as well. Once you go over a certain number of devices or want to add team members or anything like that, then there's a paid plan. So far we've got Asana, Toggle, WhatsApp, and Evernote. And the final one, and I know one of the ones that is most painful for people, is LastPass. So I know that remembering passwords when there are so many apps and you have so many accounts across different things now, it can be a real pain. And so I use LastPass. I used to use something called 1Password, but some of you may be familiar with. But the reason I went to LastPass is because, again, it crosses all devices, and I really, really like the cloud storage of the passwords because it allows me to share them with my team. So we have LastPass right across our team, and one of the benefits that I don't think most people realize about a system like LastPass is that I can securely share passwords with freelancers and agencies and people we're working with, and I can do that in such a way that doesn't actually show them my password. So, for example, if I was to jump on my HealthPost account here, you can see every time, all of these accounts have been added simply through just as soon as I log in, it triggers you and says, do you want to save this to LastPass? And then if you go to share it, you can actually share it with a recipient, and that person can either view the password, so they'll just, in this case, Libby would just see the exact password that I have for this particular account and get visibility on that, and it would load into her LastPass account. Or you can actually untick that, and what it does is creates a token that will allow them to log into that account without actually showing them what my password is. This is particularly important if you're looking at outsourcing overseas. So these are people that you probably don't know that well, and it's important to keep your password secure, particularly if you use a similar password across multiple sites. So I do use that token function quite a bit. But of course, if it's within our core team, then I'm not too worried about it, and love the ability to just share the password within that account. So that's why we use LastPass, because you never have to remember another password again. The other feature that I find really useful on it is that rather than using the same password across multiple different accounts, which is a real security hazard, because if one of your passwords gets hacked, then they'll be able to try all your other accounts as well, and your whole kind of online ecosystem is at risk. But rather than that, actually, LastPass can generate really strong, rich passwords for new accounts you're setting up, which helps keep them secure. And then, of course, you don't even have to remember them because it's all sitting with LastPass, and LastPass can sit on my phone and on my desktop, or I can log into this online vault just with 1Password anywhere I am in the world. So just to recap, the 5 most important productivity apps to keep my life in order and get the most out of my business are Asana for project management, Toggle for time tracking, WhatsApp for team communications, Evernote for note-taking and brainstorming, and LastPass for keeping track of all your passwords and making sure you don't have to remember them. That's all from me. and I hope you found this video useful and that you give some of these tools a go. If you've got any ideas for tools that you think we might find useful, or any alternatives to the tools that we're using that you think might be worth considering, then feel free to comment. Would love to hear from you, and always love sharing knowledge and engaging with people about how they can become more productive in their business. Cheers.